guys, welcome to another Zebra tutorial. This week I found a cool sound or a cool little trick that I want to show you. First off, of course, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out ADSRsounds.com and zebratutorials.com, and please like and share and comment the videos because that is really useful to us. Then the sound. This is what it sounds like. So I thought it was a nice ambient sound, cool bass sound. And if you take a closer look at oscillator 1, you can see that the tuning is set all the way down. So that's to minus 48. So it's minus 4 octaves. And normally that would sound pretty low if we open oscillator here in the second lane and we set the tuning down through that amount with no effects. Then it sounds like this. So that's pretty low, but the game changer here is the registerizer effect. And if I open that up here, let's see the registerizer and set it all the way down, it sounds a lot higher like that. And then if I drag this up, it gets very low again. And what the registerizer does is it's boosting the octaves of the fundamental frequency and attenuating all other harmonics. That's why it sounds like often like an organ-like sound, because that's also exactly what organs do. And then I use that in combination with the bandworks filter, which is a bandpass and band reject filter. So these oscillators, these work in series. So first I'll select the bandworks and I define a frequency range where the sound is going through. You can hear that. So now I'm just letting through a very small band of frequencies. Then I can use the registerizer effect only on that band. And then that is the sound that I get. So I use that for this oscillator in the first lane. Remove this one. And then I think that is all I used. I did do a little bit of detuning with an amount of 2, and I set the width all the way to the maximum value, which is gonna make the sound very stereo. I think you can hear that with headphones. And I gave it 11 oscillator copies, so it's stacking up oscillators and doubling it to 11. And the wave, I think, is just the normal default wave. And then for the modulation, I used LFO2 on the tuning, and I set the LFO to user, so I can now draw in my own shapes. And I set it to 1/16th note, and I set the sync to gate, and then I just made these octaves there. So this is going up 12 steps because the amount is set to 12. And I could change that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. And if you right click here, you can quantize these. And now if I say quantize to 4, for example, it's gonna make sure that they're all on the grid. So that's for the oscillator. Then it's going through an FM oscillator, and the mode is set to filtered FM. So it's gonna filter the signal and then FM it. And tuning is set down to 2 octaves, and the FM amounts up to 25, and I modulated that with an MSEG. You can see that one right here. So the higher this line here, the more sort of aggressive and gritty it's gonna sound. I can make these plucks here if I wanted to. So now we already got a nice rhythm, but then one last thing I did is I fed it through the comb filter, and the comb filter is a feedbacking filter, so it's generating a tone all by itself. If I disable these, I can still hear it, but I don't want that for now. And I set the mode to split comb, and the split comb mode, what it does is it's taking the inputted signal, so the signal from oscillator 1 and this FM oscillator, and it's summing it to mono, and then it's feeding it into the first delay, because this comb filter actually consists of 2 delays. So it's making the signal mono and feeds it into the first delay, and then the first delay feeds it into the second delay, and the second delay feeds back into the first delay. You don't really need to know that, but it's giving a different tone depending on the different modes. And that's just the way that the this filter works internally, so you won't see anything different. It just sounds different, and these controls, the tone and the flavor, they work a little bit different. And in this mode, tone is the ratio of the delay, and the flavor is the amount that filter 1 sends its signal to the other filter. But if you really want to know all this stuff, I advise you check out the manual. The most important thing though is that you know what it sounds like. So we can now mess around with these tone and flavor parameters. So it's quite subtle here. We can use that same LFO to modulate one of these. And that way you get a little bit more variation in the sound. So the tuning is down to -12, the feedback is all the way up, and the damping is up. This is basically just a filter. And it's a 6-pole filter, so it's a very gentle low pass filter. And then the noise is giving a short noise burst to start off the feedback, and that is what enables this filter to operate by itself. If I disable that, you won't hear anything. So without the feedback turned up, it will just sound like this. And that click is the one that gets feedbacked. And I can right click here and choose a saw. It will sound like this, and a square. But it's not interesting until you set the feedback level. So we're gonna choose the noise for now. And I'll turn these back on. And that is basically it. I also raised the input amount, because otherwise it's just gonna be the noise. If I set this to 0, it's gonna be the same as disabling these two. It's just gonna do the noise thing, but I also want the FM oscillator to feed into this filter, so that's why I raised the input. And if I wanted some of the dry sound also to go through, I raised this knob, and then a part of the sound doesn't get feedback by this filter. So that would be the same as using a mix module here and mix a part of the signal like this to a different lane. But it's easier to just use the dry knob here. So that's it, and then we have a reverb to make the sound a little bit nicer. So have fun with that, and I'll see you next week.